Hello, my name is Roland Waits, and this little short video is about what happened at Le Mans in 1955. It's called Le Mans 1955, What the Hell Happened? The star of the show is going to be this board, and we're going to talk about what happened and about the drivers, and you're going to hear about how one driver in particular caused the accident, and you're going to hear about how another driver saved 1,000 lives in the process of losing his own. And you're going to hear about how a team had an innovative air brake on a car, and thanks to that innovative air brake, that driver was able to save those 1,000 lives. As you can see on the board, these are the drivers that were in the race. Pierre Levegh was in the Mercedes. Mike Hawthorne was in a Jaguar. Lance Macklin was in an Austin Healey in a lower class, a slower car, and Juan Manuel Fangio was in a Mercedes. And let's just get to the whole spiel. I'll clean this board off here and we'll get underway. The Mercedes team had, by the way, you don't need to know who I am, so that's why I'm wearing the mask. The Mercedes team had been pretty much dominating this season. The Jaguar team was outstanding, but they were sort of overmatched. And they went to Le Mans, and the Jaguar was driven by Hawthorne, was having his hands full, but at the time he was leading Fangio. But Mike Hawthorne could sense that he was going to lose the lead to Fangio. And he ignored his pit signal twice. He went 2 more laps than he was supposed to. And then we come to this fateful accident that we all know so well happened. And what happened here was Hawthorne is leading. This right here is Lance Macklin. This is Macklin. This is Hawthorne. This is Fangio back here, and this is Levegh. This is Fangio. And this is Hawthorne. Now, Hawthorne, I can't blame him. He's a hell of a competitor. He was a hell of a competitor. He did not want to lose. But he does something here that is really not justifiable. And what he does is he starts it by running Macklin off the side of the road when he runs it in front of him. He literally runs him over on the side of the road here. And he's got a plan, as it turns out. Now Levegh is seeing this going on. Now Levegh is 1 lap down. And he sees he has Fangio coming up behind him. And as a dutiful team driver, Levegh wants to get in a situation where he can let Fangio slingshot around him and go on. And they both know that Hawthorne has to pit soon. So in any case, Hawthorne moves over here on Macklin, and he runs him off on the side of the road. Well, Macklin's over here trying to recover the car, and Hawthorne does some funny stuff. He speeds up, he gets a gap, and as Macklin is trying to get his car back on the road, he's using his brakes, he's using his steering, and Levegh is cooking. I mean, he's rolling. He's got that Mercedes. He's accelerating all the way through this thing. And Fangio is coming along with it. Because they're about to pass Hawthorne, and Hawthorne knows it. Unfortunately, they don't know what Hawthorne's got up his sleeve. And what he's got up his sleeve is he wants Macklin to be here. He wants Macklin to be in front of those Mercedes. He wants to slow those Mercedes down. Now, did he want to wreck them? I'm going to give him the benefit of doubt for your benefit and say that he didn't. Now, my personal opinion is if he'd have wrecked those Mercedes, it would have been no sweat off of them. Because the action that he does next is horrendous. What he does is now you got to understand, The Jaguar had disc brakes. It was an innovative, very efficient braking system. And it was the first year that it was in competition. None of these other cars had disc brakes. And a lot has been made of the fact that Hawthorne didn't understand the disc brakes, and that he broke too fast and nobody else could brake that fast because they had to do. Well, that's a bunch of malarkey. All of these drivers are professionals. They all know the capabilities of their machines. And Hawthorne's pit's way over here. And the deceleration lane where they would decelerate to get to the pit is way over here. He shouldn't even be slowing down here. And Fangio said as much in his memoirs, his autobiographical memoirs. He said, his quote was that Hawthorne had trouble remembering, apparently had trouble remembering where his pit was. Because what he does next is, Macklin, as soon as Macklin gets back on the road behind Hawthorne, now you got to remember Hawthorne accelerated. What Hawthorne does is he short brakes him. Short brake. And I'm going to put that sideways up like that. Short brake. It looks awful, but that's what it says. He short brakes Macklin. Macklin, God bless his soul, he comes off of the shoulder and he sees a Jaguar rear end right there. And he yanks it. He yanks it as hard as he could possibly yank that little Austin Healey. And he does one of the most amazing jobs of avoiding this Jaguar. But unfortunately, in the process of all this happening on this side of the road, Levegh has been accelerating all the way down the straight. He has been smoking it. He wants to get past these guys, and he wants to release Fangio around it. And it's not going to wind up well for Levegh at all. As a matter of fact, what's going to happen is Levegh is going to get hit by Macklin's car. I want to point out something to everyone here on this video, because I've heard this as I've investigated this accident. I've heard this over and over and over and over. I've seen it in all of the accounts of this accident. And I want to tell you right now that any account that puts this statement in their account is dead wrong. This is the statement. Levegh hits Macklin's car. Not true. That is not what happened. Levegh did not hit Macklin's car. That is not true. Well then, how did the accident happen? How is it possible that Levegh didn't hit Macklin's car? Well, my friends, what you are about to see is an explanation of one of the most bizarre impacts in racing history. And when you see it on film, you're just going to be amazed. Because what happens is this. This is the road. There's a little white post up here where Mr. Hawthorne does his little trick on Macklin. And there's also a little stutter in the film too. And I have to wonder, if they were trying to hide that Jaguar's front end diving for the ground. But, they missed it because he did his little trick here. And he was so mad that Macklin didn't go over. He jammed on his brakes again right here. And they didn't get that in the film. They didn't get that little bit edited out because he jams it there and he jams it there too. So, he was pissed. He wanted Macklin over here. Okay? And he got him over there. So, on to this horrendous accident. On to how Levegh never hit Macklin. He never hit him. This is Hawthorne's Jag right here. And I want to put this out here too. Hawthorne Jag short braking Macklin into the Mercedes. That wasn't a part of any, I don't believe that was a part of any team strategy or dialogue that went through the Jaguar team. I don't think that was any part of the way you would try to win this race. I think that was purely Hawthorne's decision alone. That was his decision alone to do this. Well, what happens is, I mean, you got to see it to believe it, because Macklin comes off of the curb and he's right here. He yanks that car like this. I mean, it's a miracle that he misses the Jaguar. And Levegh is rolling. I mean, he's smoking. And, you know, here's Levegh. Here's Fangio. And what happens here is, it's amazing, because Levegh's coming along here like this, okay? And Macklin's car swings. It literally, it's like, looks like it almost went, it almost bent itself around Hawthorne's Jag, okay? It literally, it goes like this, and then for those of you who want to talk about how Levegh was slow and Levegh didn't have any reflexes and he was old and he missed a gear and he lost a race, and you want to say that he wasn't supposed to be in the car, well, that's a bunch of malarkey, because before Macklin ever comes through here, Levegh does make an adjustment in his path, and he does leave enough room for a car that was going like this to get through, okay? But unfortunately, that's not going to happen. And what happens is, Macklin is so out of shape here, because that little Austin Healey, God bless the people who built it, but it was never designed to do what Hawthorne has made Macklin do here. And he's had to make a hard yank to the left, so hard that his head goes like this, all the way over. I mean, he almost comes out of the car from yanking the wheel so hard. And then he makes a yank over to the right, because he knows that Levegh's there. He knows that Fangio's there. He's a professional. He knows they're there. And Levegh knows that there's a problem going on here. He's got a good guess of what's going to happen. And he's trying to get past it. But he doesn't get past it. And what happens is, Macklin, this is Macklin's car here. Macklin's car goes like this, and then it goes like, swings out. It comes almost like this. And when it swings out, the back of Macklin's car hits Levegh's car like that. I mean, and it's a 1 in a billion hit, especially as fast as Levegh is going. Because I think at this point, Levegh must have been going close to 170 miles an hour. He must have had that damn thing, because he was accelerating all the way through this incident. And he was accelerating to get past Hawthorne and Macklin. But it's a 1 in a billion hit, okay? Now we've got you this far. Hawthorne is short-braked Macklin. Fangio's back here. He's dependent on Levegh to keep him alive. And he wants to beat... Fangio is so good. He knows he's going to beat Hawthorne, because the Jaguar, God bless the guys at Jaguar, but they were no match that year for the Mercedes. I mean, after this, before Mercedes withdrew from the race, they were 2 laps ahead of the Jaguar. They would have won this race. But, so we got you to where Macklin swings the car out. His head goes almost out the car. And then he swings it this way, and the car slides. It just slides across the track like this. And what you get is, you get this kind of thing here where Levegh's coming and boom! And it's just boom, like that. And what you get is, when I saw it on the HD videos, and by the way, I can't show you a damn video, because if I do, they're going to claim a copyright infringement, and they're going to take this video off the internet. And I do not want to do that. I don't, I really want to correct what I feel is an injustice done to Pierre Levegh all these years. And to put it out in public. And just to say that Hawthorne, on that day, made a terrible decision. Well, this is what we got going on here. This is Levegh's Mercedes, and this is Macklin's Austin Healey. And what that does is, this is the front wheel of the Mercedes. This is the Mercedes. Levegh's Mercedes, and this is Macklin's Healey. And what it does is it hits the car right here behind the front right wheel of Levegh's Mercedes, and it forces that suspension member forward, and what happens is right here in the front of the car, right here, that fender folds over and it creates an air pocket. Well, not only that, let's look at this from straight ahead as Macklin's car. I'm just going to build a box here, and I'm going to show you essentially what happens here. And this is Levegh's Mercedes. And what happens is it forces this wheel here forward, and that fender flips up and over. Okay? Well, not only that, if you look at it from straight on, if you were looking at it straight on, this wheel here on that Austin Healey, it kicks at a crazy angle like that. And there's a good reason why it kicks at a crazy angle, and there's a good reason about what happens next. It actually jacks that damn Mercedes off the ground. Now, Levegh is doing 170 miles an hour. It pops that sucker up off the ground and sends it flying. And you got to understand, Levegh's doing 170 this way. Those cars would do 183 miles an hour. Those Mercedes were fast as hell. Now, I'm pretty sure the Jaguar's probably just as fast, but what a beautiful car that Mercedes was. If you get to go on the internet and you get to look at the frame and how they built it and all, what a piece of work. And the driver sat up in the thing too. You look at it and you just go, wow, these guys were so incredible. But in any case, this is bad for Levegh, because what it does is it forces the wheel forward. But also, you need to see what the frame of this thing, this Mercedes, is built like. Now, this is looking from the side, okay? And this right here is the frame. Here's where the steering wheel is, okay? Here's where the frame is that holds the motor, okay? And here is this amazingly heavy-duty double wishbone suspension member that has a torsion bar on it that holds this whole front end in right here, okay? And the motor is a inline 8 that supposedly makes 300 horsepower. I'm telling you, I think that is way low. I think that they bumped the compression on it and they're running aviation fuel. I could see this thing making easily 400 horsepower. In any case, here's your wishbone suspension, and there are two headers that stick out right here. There's a header here, and there's a header here, and there is an exhaust manifold that runs to this great big not V, but straight inline 8 engine here. And all this mass is right behind this wheel that gets hit. And what happens here is, when Macklin's Healey hits this car at such an angle, I mean, you wouldn't believe the recovery. It's a miracle that Macklin survived this accident. It is an absolute miracle. As a matter of fact, the accident, after he hits Levegh and Levegh's car flies off the track, that car continues to spin around in a circle like this, with the trunk open, and this wheel is yeah, that's the wheel right there, right? Yeah. Zoop. It turns around, and this wheel, this is the front now, because he's going backwards, and this wheel is kicked in at the top, and there's very little damage here. I mean, it crushes this part of Macklin's car, but that's pretty much it. And it opens the trunk, and he's going backwards. There's no damage in his car until Macklin comes back here and smacks a pit ball, and unfortunately goes across the pit the road, and supposedly hits a spectator here or somebody here and kills them, unfortunately. God rest their soul. But when Macklin's Healy hits this wheel and forces it forward, it's also smacking directly into those mufflers and that header. And what this does is the wheel going forward shows that this suspension comes disconnected from that wishbone, this massive torsion bar wishbone they have here, comes loose. Well, when he hits that wheel, he's also hitting these mufflers and those exhaust headers. And if you were to look down on this thing, okay, we're looking down on Levegh's car. Now, Levegh's sitting here, and what happens is it's amazing, because, I mean, here's the wheel. Here's the front end of Levegh's car, and you got these mufflers here, these headers that come out here, and when Macklin's car smacks this here, that wheel goes forward, those headers go this way, and this entire engine block moves. It forces itself this way from the impact. It's a massive impact, and what this does is it breaks the connection members here. This whole front suspension, as the car comes off the track here, is just being held on by the forward momentum of the car. And in none of this, Levegh never hit Macklin's car. He never did. Macklin's car hit Levegh's car and it flew off the track. And now we get to the most heartbreaking part of this accident, the part that makes it the worst accident in the history of autosports. And I take this accident very seriously. I take all accidents very seriously. My condolences to all the people who even today miss their loved ones who are about to die in this accident, because so many people died in this accident. And unfortunately, you know, there's nothing we're going to be able to do to bring them back. But there is a
call from Phil.